"I'm really sorry, Miss Anderson. I really don't know who gave me this necklace." Phoebe let out a sigh and shrugged it off. While Lily was absent-mindedly eating her meal, she unconsciously looked over at Kevin, who was digging into his own plate of food. She remembered very clearly that Kevin had said that he would give her the real Dream Lover necklace. Could it really be him? After all, he could easily find $4 million to help her company, couldn't he? But then she thought about it again. The Dream Lover was worth almost $3 million. No matter how cleverly Kevin could borrow money, it would be very difficult to get another $3 million after already giving her all that money to help her company. By now, Kevin was almost full. His eyes fell on Phoebe, who was sitting next to Lily. This Miss Anderson was definitely an interesting woman. As Kevin understood it, she was raised by her father to be the company's deputy president at a young age. She was already a reliable executive with a lot of experience. The ring Phoebe was wearing was a valuable antique. Kevin knew this because of all the time that he spent with his grandfather when he was young. Starting when he was about 10 years old, he got to spend nearly 3 years with Claude Fields, an internationally renowned appraiser, to learn how to identify and appraise antiques. Kevin estimated that the ring was worth about $3 million. Just as Kevin was thinking about giving Lily a beautiful ring one of these days, Grandma Jones stood up and walked to the stage. "Quiet, please. Lily, please tell everyone about the secret of your successful negotiation with Williams Media. How did you do it? We would all love to know." "Actually, it was nothing at all. When I went over that day, I didn't get to see the president of Williams Media. It was his secretary who brought me the contract and asked me to sign it." Everyone was astonished to hear this. "What? They signed the contract right away?" Someone said, "So, just like Jason, she didn't get to see the new CEO of Williams Media either. I thought she was very capable. Seems like she was just lucky that she went there when the new president of Williams Media was in a good mood. That's why she got the contract." Jason couldn't help but sneer when he heard the comments coming from the crowd. He turned his head to see Grandma Jones's reaction, but he was already coming up with an idea to get even with Lily for making him look bad. "Grandma, I think this is really unfair. When I went to Williams Media, maybe the new CEO was just in a bad mood. That's why he had his assistant chase me out. This time when Lily went there, he must have realized how sincere our family was about working with them. That's why he gave us the contract." Jason glanced at Lily dismissively and raised his voice a little. "I think that the second person to go to Williams Media would have gotten the contract anyway, no matter who they were." Lily clenched her fist as she glared at Jason, but she couldn't find the words to answer him. Grandma Jones, who had always loved Jason, listened intently to what her grandson had said. She nodded in agreement. "JJ is right. Lily, you earned the contract with Williams Media pretty easily, but it's not all because of you. JJ also put in a lot of work and he suffered a lot. Obviously, half of the credit goes to him." Lily was extremely annoyed by Grandma Jones's speech, but she didn't dare to argue with her. How could she? Jason was clearly stealing the credit for her accomplishment. "For the sake of the family, no matter how much I suffer, I'm willing to carry on the struggle. I heard that Williams Media signed a new client named Brittany Davis just a few days ago. I want to fight for it. Tomorrow, I'll help us negotiate the packaging contract for this new client. What do you think?" Jason knew that now he had a real opportunity. As long as he got Brittany's packaging deal, his grandmother would definitely give him all the credit for the family's success. Grandma Jones was very satisfied to see him working so hard. "JJ, you are indeed the most responsible one here. You're an asset to our family and to our company. I'll leave it all up to you. You're going to do a great job." After hearing Grandma Jones's words, Lily felt very uneasy. Why the heck did Grandma Jones like Jason so much? Now that she had made up her mind to leave this matter up to him, what else could they do? Jason grabbed the opportunity to look generous. "Today it's my treat. Eat and drink all that you want. I'm paying." He waved his wallet at the head waiter. Jason sat down and waved at the waiter again. "Waiter, go and get a bottle of your best wine for every table. I want the best and most expensive wine you have. Hurry up." The waiter was about to show him the wine list, but when he heard him say that, he nodded and went to get the wine from the cellar. Everyone stood up and raised their glasses to toast Jason. After all, his status in the family had just gone up a notch or two. When the banquet was coming to an end, Jason was unable to stand upright. His eyes were blurry as he called for the waiter to come over. He then pulled the card from his wallet and said, "Use my card to pay the bill." "That's a Luxbank Sapphire card." Someone recognized Jason's credit card and immediately cried out in surprise. Those who were close to him couldn't help but widen their eyes when they saw the ultra-high-end card in his hand. The Luxbank card wasn't something that just anyone could get. The most basic card, the silver card, had a limit of $25,000. A gold card went up to $50,000, and the sapphire card that Jason took out had a limit of $100,000. Jason looked over at Phoebe, who was seated next to him, and he couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. This was such a good opportunity to show off in front of Miss Anderson. Naturally, he couldn't resist. When Phoebe saw Jason's Luxbank Sapphire card, she couldn't help but look at him differently. Although she was a rising star in the Anderson family, she only had around $2 million in the bank. That's why she had the Luxbank Gold card, which was one grade lower than Jason's. Although she had previously said that she could double the price to buy her own Dream Lover necklace, she was secretly going to ask her father to pay for it. Feeling Phoebe's gaze on him, Jason felt even more excited. He sat up straight. "You can do whatever you want. I'll pay for everyone here tonight. However, that table isn't included." The table he pointed at was the one where Kevin was sitting. Because Kevin hadn't been fully accepted by the Jones family, very few people were willing to sit at the same table as him. The people who did choose to sit with him weren't as wealthy or popular as the rest of the guests. Jason simply didn't care if he offended them. He continued to push Kevin's buttons. "Kevin, do you have any money? Don't tell me you can't even afford to pay and you still need to beg money from your wife." Jason stood up unsteadily, staggering to Kevin's side and patted him on the shoulder. Kevin smiled and didn't say anything. Jason pulled his hand away with a look of contempt in his eyes and turned to look at Phoebe. "Miss Anderson, you like the Dream Lover, don't you? I have a lot of friends and connections. Don't worry, I will definitely help you buy it." Phoebe nodded her head slightly in response to the spectacle. "Thank you for the kind offer, Mr. Jones," she replied. Jason was about to say something else, but at that moment, the waiter who had taken his sapphire card to pay the bill walked quickly over to him. "Mr. Jones, I'm very sorry. The limit on this card isn't high enough to pay for tonight's bill." "Are you kidding me? This card has a $100,000 limit, and you're telling me it's not enough for tonight's meal?" Jason looked at the waiter in disbelief. He reached out to grab the man's collar, but he was stopped by the people around him at his table. After all, this was the Whistler Hotel. Jason was a little drunk, but most of the people were still very sober. This was not the time or place to cause trouble. The waiter took a step back and looked at Jason with an odd mix of horror and surprise in his eyes. "I'm sorry, but I forgot to tell you. Mr. Jones, you've spent over $110,000 tonight." That sobered Jason up right away. $110,000? What were they eating? Gold? "You're a thief. Get your manager here right now." Kevin watched the whole scene without saying a word, and finally he couldn't help laughing. Jason was really a dope. He pretended to be an uber-rich person all day. Then he made a mess of the whole evening. When the hotel manager arrived at his table, Jason stepped up to him angrily and asked loudly, "This is how you do business? You're nothing but a thief. I'm going to file a complaint with the State Liquor Control Commission. I have friends downtown." "Mr. Jones, you said that I should serve you our best wine. That's what I did. Because you needed 20 bottles for the entire room, we gave you our best price. You actually saved almost $18,000. Your complaint will be thrown out by the commission." "You bastard! If this wine is so rare, how come you're able to sell more than 20 bottles at a time? Who are you trying to fool? You're making a big mistake." Jason reached out to grab the hotel manager's lapels. Just then, an extremely calm voice came from the entrance of the banquet hall. "What seems to be the problem here?" Everyone looked over and saw a man in an Armani suit walking towards Jason. Behind him was a group of burly-looking men in black suits. As soon as Grandma Jones saw the man in the Armani suit, she quickly stood up and walked up to him. "Mr. Cook, I'm very sorry about this misunderstanding. My grandson sometimes drinks a little too much and makes bad decisions. I'm sure that we can find another way to settle this." After she said that, she offered her hand to the hotel owner as a gesture of goodwill. When everyone saw how much respect Grandma Jones was showing toward the man, they realized Jason put them in a bad position. Mitchell Cook wasn't just the owner of the Whistler Hotel. He was also well known as one of the most influential men in Chicago. Definitely a big shot you didn't want to mess with. When he saw Mr. Cook, Jason sobered up completely, but now he was covered in a layer of cold sweat. His hands trembling, he quickly let go of the hotel manager's suit. He even reached out to help smooth the wrinkles on his lapels. The hotel manager snorted. His boss had appeared, and he felt even more confident. He said to Jason sarcastically, "Your Jones family is pretty famous in Chicago. Since you asked for the best wine, how could you refuse to pay?" Jason didn't have the time to wipe the beads of sweat that kept flowing down his face. He snapped his finger and said, "I won't go back on my word. We'll pay for it." As he spoke, he gave a pleading look towards his grandmother. He couldn't possibly scrape together $400,000 this evening. He unconsciously took a step towards Grandma Jones like he was going to use her to shield him from Mitchell Cook. Grandma Jones sighed and forced a smile at Mr. Cook. "It was our fault for what happened tonight. Mr. Cook, please don't hold it against us, and don't worry, we'll get you the money right away." After saying that, she turned to the Jones family members who were in the banquet hall. "We can't let JJ pay all the expenses tonight. Each of you should contribute $5,000. The rest of the money will be paid by JJ and me." Everyone nodded in agreement. They had no choice, but they wanted to look like they were okay with it. However, two of them couldn't hide their concern and wore very embarrassed expressions on their faces. Lily and Dorothy. It would be pretty tough for them to come up with $5,000 for this meal. What was really unfair was that they'd barely touched the wine. The $4 million that Kevin gave Lily had already been used for her emergency expenses, so they didn't have any extra money left over. Jason, who had learned nothing from all of this, asked her, "Lily, why are you looking so upset? Don't tell me you can't even come up with $5,000. Don't you want to pitch in?" Lily saw that everyone was looking at her because of Jason's insulting remarks. She tried to control her breathing and calm down. "We have $5,000. The moment Mitchell Cook heard Kevin's voice, his expression changed dramatically. "May I ask who you are?" Mr. Cook queried with a very slight quiver in his usually calm voice. The others probably didn't pick up on it, but Kevin could. He shook his head and grinned. Jason saw that Mr. Cook had suddenly taken an interest in Kevin. He thought that Kevin's actions had somehow offended the man. He tried to protect himself by addressing the boss. "Mr. Cook, please don't be angry. This man isn't even a true member of our family. He married into it. If you don't like him, do whatever you want. Just don't take it out on the rest of us." "Get lost." Mr. Cook glared at Jason as he gestured for him to get out of the way. Kevin stood up, turned around, and looked calmly at Mr. Cook. An expression of pure joy and excitement instantly appeared on the man's face. He hadn't seen Kevin in 7 years, and he certainly hadn't expected to see him at the Whistler Hotel today. "Long time no see," Kevin said as he greeted his old friend with a smile. His expression was relaxed and natural. He completely ignored the stunned members of the Jones family. Mr. Cook quickly walked over and gave Kevin a warm hug. He looked absolutely thrilled to see him. "It's really you. I can't believe it. How are you doing, boss?" Everyone was stunned. Kevin was Mr. Cook's boss? The manager of the hotel, who had been working for Mitchell Cook for many years, stood there with his mouth open wide in amazement. He looked at Mr. Cook, who had uncharacteristically lost his composure, and he just couldn't believe it. Was this still the boss who was actually so calm, cool, and collected in front of them? "I'm not your boss anymore, Mr. Cook. Just call me Kevin." When Mr. Cook straightened his back and offered his hand for a more professional greeting, Kevin quickly pulled him back and whispered something in his ear. To give you some background, when he was a teenager, Kevin saved Mitchell Cook's life. At the time, Cook was running with a bunch of petty criminals. He had a tough reputation, but after a while, he naturally ended up with a few enemies. Cook had been set up by some of these thugs, and they'd beaten him half to death. If Kevin, who usually traveled with a couple of his family bodyguards, hadn't shown up by chance, Cook would have died, and he wouldn't currently be the owner of the Whistler Hotel. Here's how that happened. Sometime later, Cook wanted to start a business, but he didn't have enough money. It was Kevin who provided him with almost $100,000, no strings attached, to get his business off the ground. Kevin was shocked to see how his friend Mitch, as he called him, had been able to meet with such great success after just 6 or 7 years. Cook really wanted to track Kevin down to thank him, but he was worried that he would bring trouble to Kevin and his family. Then, about 3 years ago, he had finally cleaned up his reputation so he could get in touch with the Williams family so he could reconnect with Kevin. That's when he found out that Kevin had been kicked out of his own family. It wasn't at all what he had expected to hear. He assigned a few of his employees to search for Kevin, but they were unable to find any trace of him, either online or in the rough parts of town. And now, here they were finally seeing each other in person after all these years. Cook thought about everything Kevin had done for him and said, "It's hard to change an old habit, boss. Kevin?" You could hear everyone heave a sigh of relief. After all, it didn't sound right for such a powerful man to call Kevin boss. Still, everyone was wondering how Kevin and Mr. Cook knew each other. Kevin asked his friend, "If you could just ask the waiter to add my table's bill to the $5,000, I can give you my card to pay." "Your money's no good here. Put your card away." He was going to give Kevin his meal for free. Then he told the hotel manager that Kevin's meals would all be free in the future. Kevin stared at him for a moment and opened his mouth to speak. But Cook immediately understood and quickly changed his offer. "How about if I give you a discount, a 50% discount?" He turned to the hotel manager and said, "Please go add up Mr. Williams' bill and bring it back to me." The hotel manager quickly nodded. "Right away, sir." Grandma Jones and Jason were shocked to hear that the owner of the hotel actually wanted to give Kevin a 50% discount. This was unheard of. Realizing that the rest of the bill still hadn't been paid, Grandma smiled and walked forward. "Mr. Cook, I didn't know that you're friends with our Kevin. Since we're paying this bill together, may we have a discount too?" He looked at Grandma Jones with a smirk and replied calmly, "Didn't that guy just say that Kevin has nothing to do with your family? I'm sorry, but your bills should be paid separately." Grandma Jones's face froze. She knew that Cook wouldn't give them the same discount. Kevin took a look at the bill. After the discount, it was about $2,500. Jason watched this in disbelief. "Ha! $2,500? Kevin, you were just bragging. I'd like to see how you could even pay that much." But Jason was livid. How could Mr. Cook give Kevin a 50% discount but not do the same for him? Meanwhile, Lily and Dorothy were very concerned. They really hoped he could cover the bill. Kevin looked at Jason, who was sneering as he waited to see this all play out. He took his wallet out of his pocket, pulled out a bank card, and handed it to the hotel manager. "Just a moment, sir." The hotel manager slid the card into his portable reader. When Jason saw Kevin's bank card, he continued to taunt him. "A deadbeat who doesn't even have a Lux bank card should be careful how much he spends." "Yeah, I'll bet the hotel manager will tell him that his card wouldn't swipe." "Kevin really is a jackass. So what if he knows Mr. Cook? He doesn't have enough money to pay the bill. I don't think he'll get out of this mess." Listening to what they were all saying about Kevin, Cook turned and gave them an impatient, cold stare. He really wanted to go over and shut Jason's mouth for him. When Jason saw how Cook was looking at him, his face instantly turned pale. His voice trailed off and he sat in awkward silence. The rest of the Joneses clammed up too. Lily stared nervously at the hotel manager, afraid that Kevin's card would be rejected for lack of funds. Finally, the hotel manager spoke up. "All right, Mr. Williams, the transaction went through. Here's your card." He politely returned the card to Kevin, who nodded his thanks and put the card back into his wallet. What? The transaction went through? How was this possible? Everyone was confused. Lily tugged on Kevin's sleeve and leaned into his ear. "Where did you get so much money from?" "Don't worry, Lily. I just hope you enjoyed the banquet," Kevin said with a big grin. Lily didn't press the issue. Now she really didn't know what to think. Kevin thought for a second and said to her quietly, "I have something I need to do later. You and Dorothy can go home first. You don't have to wait for me. Drive carefully." Lily looked over at Mr. Cook and then she looked at Kevin. She nodded and then left with her mother. After the rest of the Jones family had finally paid the bill, they took off one by one. Kevin got a ride with Cook, but he didn't go straight home.
"Boss, have you been in Chicago for the past 3 years?"
Cook was driving while Kevin sat in the back seat. Looking at the view outside the window, Kevin responded, "Yeah, about 2.5 years. What about you? Have you been in Chicago all this time?" Cook laughed.
"That's right. When you told me it would be easier to get a fresh start if I moved, it sounded like a good idea. A friend of mine was living in Chicago, so I decided to come here. It was tough at first, but I've done okay. I hope you're not disappointed."
"You've done an amazing job. I never imagined you were the owner of the Whistler Hotel. I was right to believe in you. Also, I told you not to call me boss. Just call me Kevin. We know each other too well." Kevin looked at Cook, who was still excited. He just smiled and shook his head. Cook kept his eyes on the road.
"All right, and you just call me whatever you want."
Seeing that they'd been driving for a while, Kevin asked casually, "By the way, where are you taking me?"
"Do you remember Adriana Wright? A couple of years ago, I accidentally found out that she was also looking for you, so I met with her. She founded the West Chicago International Group. I just told her about meeting you in my hotel, and she was really happy about it. We talked it over and decided to surprise you." Cook turned around and gave Kevin a mischievous smile. Kevin raised his eyebrow. Adriana Wright? What a nice surprise to hear that she was doing well too. Kevin met Adriana when he lost his briefcase in a wine store. She was working in the shop and noticed that he'd left it behind. When she went outside with the briefcase, Kevin had just gotten into his car and left. Adriana ran after him for 3 blocks to try to catch up with him. When Kevin finally remembered that he'd forgotten his briefcase, he made a U-turn and saw her standing there out of breath, but holding his briefcase in her hand. Kevin found out that Adriana wanted to start her own business, so he formed a partnership with her. He also fronted her $100,000 just like he'd done for Cook. He didn't really expect Adriana to be so sharp at running a business. What he was sure of was that she was honest and hardworking. After all, she had chased him for 3 blocks to return his briefcase. In just a few short years, she actually built the West Chicago International Group. After a few more minutes of driving, Kevin and Cook stopped at an enormous office complex in the west suburbs. They got out of the car together and walked into the headquarters of the West Chicago International Group. After walking into the main hall, they were greeted by one of Adriana's administrative assistants. "Mr. Cook, the president is waiting for you on the 3rd floor. Do you want me to accompany this gentleman and show him the displays on the 1st floor?" It was a very kind offer, but Cook just shook his head no and answered, "No need. Mr. Williams can take a look around by himself. It will make him a little uncomfortable if you follow him." Kevin quickly agreed. "Yes, you don't need to follow me. I'll go and take a look for myself. You guys can go and do what you want." "Kevin, you can visit the place as you wish. These things in the hall are new products that have just been released. You can take some back for your wife if you want. She should like that." Cook pointed at the various skincare products and makeup on the display stands. Kevin shook his head and smiled. He didn't know what kind of surprise was waiting for him. Cook made it sound so mysterious. In the meantime, he would wait around in the display area on the 1st floor of the West Chicago International Group's headquarters. Kevin smiled and reassured Cook.
Okay, I got it, Mitch. Adriana's waiting for you. You should go see her.
Okay, Kevin. Wait down here for a while. We'll go and get a surprise ready for you.
Cook grinned and turned to leave for the third floor. Adriana's Chicago headquarters was very large. The first floor was mainly used to display the latest products. Kevin spent a lot of time looking around. It was a dazzling display. Some of these products are pretty cool, he thought to himself. Hey, I thought it was Kevin. A familiar female voice startled him out of his reverie. Kevin turned his head to look. The woman in front of him, wearing a tight denim skirt that hugged her curves, was Lily's friend Rachel. Rachel's husband used to be a department manager in one of the branches of West Chicago International Group. He was promoted the day before and was now the regional manager. So Rachel wanted to use this opportunity to enjoy herself in the headquarters and buy a new set of products in the display area. She certainly didn't expect to meet Kevin here. Kevin, you came here by yourself? Let me remind you, the things in West Chicago International Group aren't cheap. Can you afford it? If you don't have enough money, you should get out fast. They'll show you the door if you can't afford it, and you'll be pretty embarrassed. Kevin kept on smiling. You don't have to worry about whether I can afford it or not. By the way, it seems you still haven't called me boss since we made the bet the other day. When Kevin brought that up, Rachel snapped back at him. Stop showing off. I don't know what kind of scuzzy deals you made to get that money. Rachel's latest put down amused Kevin. No matter how I did it. Are you going to go back on your word? As soon as he finished speaking, a balding man with a slight paunch walked over and spoke to Rachel.
Honey, what's wrong? Who is this?
It turned out that this man was Rachel's husband. Kevin silently sized him up and then looked back at Rachel. Well, he thought, I guess opposites attract. Rachel pointed at Kevin and complained. Hubby, this guy is Lily's husband, the one who married into the Jones family. He was being very rude to me and wanted me to call him boss. Rachel's husband was named Cody Hunter. He had quite a reputation for his violent temper. Hearing Rachel's complaint, he flew into a rage. He glared at Kevin.
Who the hell are you? You want her to call you boss? Who am I then? Are you my boss too? How about if I toss you out on your butt?
Kevin stared at the two of them in disbelief. Well, he thought to himself, I guess they're not so opposite after all. Somehow he managed to keep his calm. You have to know that this was your wife's idea. She said that if she lost our bet, she would call me boss. As for me being your boss, I would never hire someone like you, not even to clean my cat's litter box. This didn't help things, and Cody yelled back.
You piece of shit! How about if I teach you a lesson?
Cody grabbed Kevin's collar and was about to punch him. Rachel watched with pleasure.
Stop it!
A furious roar instantly stunned everyone, including Cody. Cody stepped back and unclenched his fists, raising his open hands in the air like he was surrendering. He looked at Cook, who was running toward him like lightning, followed by Adriana, who was right behind him. Cody was stunned.
Mr. Cook, and President Wright, what a nice, surprise.
Cody dropped his hands and with a big smile on his face quickly went up to greet the two of them. Cook glared at him and brushed his hand away.
Who the hell are you? Do you want to take a swing at me too?
Cody was shaken.
No. It was this man who was looking for trouble. I was just trying to scare him. You see, Mr. Cook, I just got promoted. I'm Cody Hunter, the new manager of the entire region. Of course I wasn't going to hurt him. I'll get someone to kick him out right now.
Cody knew that Mr. Cook had a very good relationship with the company's president, Adriana. Plus, he knew how powerful the man was, so he had to suck up to Cook.
Regional manager, is it?
Adriana, I think you know what to do. Cook was too tired to waste any more words with Cody. He was fine with leaving it up to Adriana. Adriana couldn't believe that Kevin was almost beaten up in her company headquarters. She turned to Cody and told him firmly, I order you to go to the personnel office tomorrow and turn in your resignation. Don't let me see you here again. Without giving Cody another look, she walked over to Kevin with a big smile and gave him a warm handshake. Kevin, it's wonderful to finally see you again. Kevin smiled too, and after a moment, Adriana said, Oh, what the heck? I'm going to give you a great big hug. Kevin was thrilled to see Adriana's success. You've done so well, and in such a short time. I'm so happy for you. The excitement showed on Adriana's pretty face. Kevin, this is all thanks to you. All this wouldn't be here without you. She paused for a moment and continued. Come along with me. There are 2 more people I want you to meet. Kevin was dying to know what the surprise was. He smiled and nodded. All right, lead the way. Just as the 3 of them were about to leave together, Cody and Rachel came to their senses and ran to catch up with them. President Wright, I was wrong. Please give me another chance. The desperation showed on Cody's face. If only he'd known that Kevin was so close to both the president of his company and Mr. Cook, he would have never been so rude to him. The most important thing for him now was to keep his job. Otherwise, Adriana and Mr. Cook could easily keep him from ever getting another job in Chicago after he was fired. Rachel was even more shocked than her husband. She couldn't understand how Kevin, who had always been so weak and unimportant, would know people as influential as Mr. Cook and Adriana. But she was smarter than her husband and knew of a better way to get her husband his job back for him. She forced a smile and took Kevin by the arm. She said sweetly, Kevin, boss, this was all my fault. You can call me whatever you want, but my husband finally got promoted to regional manager. I'm begging you, please say a few words for him. Can you convince President Wright not to fire him? Rachel had never thought that one day she would be asking Kevin for a favor like this. Kevin glanced at her. What did you just call me? Rachel looked at the people around her. She couldn't believe she was doing this. Finally, she blurted out, Boss, I'm begging you. Please don't let my husband lose his job, okay? Hearing this made Kevin so happy. He turned his head and gave Adriana a smile. That isn't a bad apology. Besides, it would be a lot of trouble for you to go out and find another employee on such short notice. Couldn't you let him go back to his old job for a while? If he learns how to be a decent person, he can go up for promotion again. Adriana naturally followed his line of thinking. Since Mr. Williams has said so, you can continue working here, in your previous position. Take it or leave it. Cody was overjoyed at this news. I'll take it. Thank you, Mr. Williams. Thank you, President Wright. Rachel hurried over and gave Kevin a hug. She seemed as surprised at this as he was. Kevin pulled himself gently out of the hug and said, Okay, that's enough. Adriana invited Kevin to walk with her. Come on, Kevin, let's go. Yes, let's go, added Cook. The 3 of them left together. Cody turned toward Rachel and stared at her. He growled. You almost made me lose my job. Why didn't you tell me who he was? After he finished speaking, he turned around and left, leaving Rachel standing there alone. She looked very embarrassed. Meanwhile, Adriana, Kevin, and Cook headed to the Chartreuse Mill, the largest bar in Chicago. Adriana and Cook led him into the most sumptuous private room of the bar. The 3 of them had just sat down when 2 men with extremely excited expressions on their faces pushed open the door and walked in. Kevin! Kevin lifted his head from the drink menu and looked toward the door. He couldn't believe his eyes. Gilbert! Emo! Come in here, you guys! Gilbert Rhodes and Emo Squire were comrades in arms. They had served together in the Special Forces, and after they retired, they became Kevin's personal bodyguards and martial arts instructors. They were extraordinary martial artists. Gilbert's mother had cancer back then, and Kevin gave him over $100,000 to help with expenses for her medical care and comfort. Unfortunately, she eventually passed away. A while after that, Gilbert and Emo wanted to move on, so Kevin gave them money to help them out. So everyone in the room had at one time or another gotten help from Kevin. They owed their success to him. After Kevin's family had ostracized him, they all began to search for him. Kevin, we've been looking for you for years. If only we'd thought of looking for you right here in Chicago. The tough man looked like he was about to cry from joy. Kevin chuckled. It's really been too long, Gilbert. I can't believe this is your bar. You've done pretty well for yourself." Gilbert smiled broadly when he heard Kevin's praise. He stroked his chin and laughed. Kevin chortled and shook his head when he saw this. "You're still the same as before. You're a tough man, but deep down you're like a little boy. Are you starting to blush?" Everyone laughed. "So, Emo, what are you up to? Are you working together?" Kevin looked at his tall, handsome friend. Adriana answered the question. "Emo's doing very well. He runs a bodyguard company. His employees are a fine group of men and women. Kevin, you can ask Emo to arrange for protection if you ever need it." Emo laughed at the thought. He looked very cheerful and easygoing, not at all like someone who owned a bodyguard company at all. Instead, he looked more like a college student. Kevin chuckled. "The way things have been going lately, I may take you up on that offer." After they talked and laughed for a while, Adriana stood up and left the room. A few minutes later, she came back with a gift box in her hand. "Kevin, we got you this gift almost 1.5 years ago. We're so glad that we can finally give it to you in person. We really hope you like it." Taking the box from Adriana's hand, Kevin looked at his 4 friends and slowly opened the box. As he looked inside, his eyes twinkled.
Hi, Kevin here. If you're wondering what happens next, then stay tuned on the Pocket FM Universe channel for more episodes.